You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. And now, TSPN News with Tom Slivick. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites.
Hi everyone and welcome back. And I'm with Romona Longero. How are you doing, Romona?
I'm doing good,
Glad
thank
you stayed with us here on News in Depth. So we're going to talk about the charter schools. You're the president of the charter school, and you're going through an effort right now to get a charter school here in Amador County. Last week, you went to the board of ACUSD and talked about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, tell me, you have children?
Yes, I have
How many?
children. Two children.
Two children?
Yep.
And they are?
I have a daughter, Samantha, who's 9, and a son, Anthony, that's 7.
Okay, where do they go to school now?
Samantha goes to Pioneer Elementary, and Anthony's in a private program.
Okay, so you're up country?
Yes.
Okay, and why the need for a charter school?
I think no two children are the same, and no two children learn the same, and there are a large group of children that could benefit from learning differently, from having a more hands-on approach, from leveling so that they can go at their own pace. And I think these kids would really advance. They wouldn't just be C students. They wouldn't just barely be making it. They would be excited about education and learning fast.
Okay, now, I kind of think as I go along, so I don't have a whole lot of plans. And, you use the word learning, and then there's a word like educating, and or being educated. And so, to me, learning is kind of where you develop, from inside. Because I think, basically, this ain't about me, but, people are capable of learning probably just about everything or have everything in them. They just kind of need to have that the stuff paired away, and then they can see it. So basically, to me, learning is kind of like getting a person to aha on things.
Learning is making them inquisitive.
Okay. All right. And of course, I guess in a charter school, it's not as structured.
It's structured. In fact, every kid is going to have their own little plan. So their day is going to be completely structured, but in a very easy kind of free way. They'll have everything that they need to do. They need to do their reading. They'll need to do their math. The way they go about it may be different than every other child. So it'll be very structured, but it'll be very laid back at the same time. Okay,
now people have heard me before and know that my kids went to an alternative school in the beginning, and if you went there and just visited, it would look probably like it wasn't structured. It looked, maybe it was kind of chaotic because it just kind of felt like that, but not really chaotic. That's the wrong word.
Right.
But it felt more easygoing. People weren't, responding to bells and things like that. But from outside of it, if you knew about there had a lot of structure allowing that format of freedom underneath it.
That's
Is that true?
That's true. We went to Dixon Montessori School.
Okay.
They're a charter school, Dixon Charter Montessori School, and it was amazing. They had 20 students in a class, and you would have thought there was 5 students in there. But the way that it flowed, they were in little groups, and they were all doing something different. When we came into one classroom, and there were 4 kids sitting around a chicken coop observing the chicken. And that might sound silly, but they're actually learning things from those type of environments. And the same type of thing where you think, not chaos, it seemed like, oh, are they not organized because everybody's not doing the same thing at the same time? But that's not the way it has to be. Just because everybody's not doing the same thing at the same time does not mean they're not organized. These children were amazing. They were enjoying their education, and everybody was happy. Okay,
and of course, as a parent and as being myself, I know it's really hard for me to shut my brain off when it's interested in something and say, okay, shift gears and now delve into this, and vice versa, to...
I think you need to explore that. You need to, if someone has an interest in something, and why would you shut them down and say, okay, we need to switch gears now and switch different subjects? I think you need to really expand that because it makes them more inquisitive.
Okay, now I don't think that's true for everybody, so don't get me wrong. There are people, we all know there's people that say, okay, I can put that in and compartmentalize and come on up and do that, and it seems like maybe we're split like 50-50, like left hand, right hand. Some of us, that's the way we work, and the other people work the other way.
Right.
But traditional school doesn't...
they don't allow for that.
Not as much. If you have a really good teacher or something like that, then they catch on to that and somehow use their skills and their talents to help you along.
Yeah, and that's the way, in the public school right now, that's really the only way that you're going to get any kind of accommodations is the teacher. If the teacher can accommodate the student and notices. and either tries some leveling themselves or motivates the child in the way the child needs to be motivated. But if you don't have that kind of teacher, then it's just going to be across the line, everybody doing the same thing.
Okay. Now, our story said there was about 100 supporters down there.
I know, it was
How
great.
many people are interested that you know of in the charter school and would probably want to put their kids in there starting off with its opening?
Well, when we submitted the application, we had to have half of the enrollment. So we had to have 60 signatures, and that was easy. We got 60 signatures in no time at all, and we've been collecting signatures since then. I'm not sure of the exact amount we have. I'd say that we probably have close to the enrollment number, 100 to 120 signatures right now. And that's pretty impressive because we haven't, it's not like we've been sitting outside of Walmart collecting signatures.
Okay.
We've been making some phone calls. We've had you guys have had us in the news and the newspaper, and we've had some hits through our emails. But I think the number, it makes me a little nervous because the charter school is going to have a lottery because there's going to be so many people interested in it.
I'm somewhat wondering now, would it seem like most or some or whatever would be coming from the classes that are currently at the school, or maybe are people who homeschool approaching you as well?
It's both,
so
yeah.
it's both.
And people that homeschool are homeschooling because there isn't an option like this around here. And they would be looking to do that. And then some that are just barely happy with the public school because their child needs to learn in a different way, or because of leveling issues. Like I said, some kids are really good at some things and not so good at others, but they either have to graduate to the next class or not. So there is a lot of interest in homeschool kids and the public school kids. And I imagine if I had to envision it in my head, we'd probably be pulling 1 or 2 kids out of every class.
Okay. Now, economically, from, say, the school's point of view now, do they see you as maybe taking funds from their program, or do you keep funds in their program in the sense of, say, if you do pull in homeschooled kids or things like that? If you follow what I'm saying, is it a
what will happen is
game,
they'll lose the ADA. If they sponsor us, they'll lose the ADA, but what they will do is they'll be our administrators. So the state would pay them to pay us. So they would get, we would do an MOU with them for a 1% fee. They would get 1% of the money that they give us. But it's pretty much they would just be funneling it to us.
Okay. So what does ADA mean?
Thank you for putting me on the spot. That's the money you get per child.
Okay.
I can't think of the exact ADA, what that stands for, but it's per head.
But
so a child gets $5,000 or $6,000 per child from the state. So there's a little number that travels on the child's head, and wherever that child goes is where that money goes.
So they're a part of, you actually become a school under their umbrella.
Yes.
Okay. So it probably shouldn't make much difference, as you were saying. They get paid, and then that money comes to you to do your part.
Right. Right, and if they sponsor us, they'll get that 1%. If they don't sponsor us, they will lose the ADA and they will not get an administrative fee. But the plus side to us pulling kids like that is they're really overcrowded. They've got 30 to 32 kids in a lot of those classes, and if we can ease that a little bit, and maybe just enough.
Okay, now, what do you mean when you say if they sponsor you? It kind of makes me feel like, can you start your school if they don't sponsor you?
If they don't approve us, then we'll go to the State Board of Education.
Okay.
And they will do the same thing where we do another public hearing in Sacramento and then another vote.
Okay, I think that's what happened last year, not that you went to the state, but that you had those choices, and so it looks like you went back and pulled back up again and decided to go and ask them one more time.
Yeah, we had to work the budget a little bit. And really the main thing was we needed to find someone to do our finances. We had an outside firm before, but it was at a distance, and it wasn't what we needed. We really needed an internal person. So that now that we have Shannon on our founding committee, she has all kinds of degrees, and she knows what she's doing with numbers and where I don't, or most of us don't. So she really is good with that, and makes us more confident in what we're doing.
Did the board seem to be impressed with that at the meeting, or did they give you any clues? Did they talk at all, or just listen?
When I was observing them when Shannon was talking, they looked like they were glad to get that information, and that's one of the reasons, because typically we wouldn't just have someone get up and start talking about themselves like that, but I know that they were interested in her background and interested in how we were going to the budget's always an issue.
Okay,
That's
sure.
really
I mean,
in the forefront of their mind. So they want to make sure that it's going to work.
Okay. Now, do they ask questions?
They didn't ask questions. They did not ask questions last night. It was more of a presentation. We certainly would have welcomed questions.
Okay.
We expect questions at the end of August when they go to vote. And we're going to be in contact with them over the next 3 or 4 weeks personally and answer any questions they have.
Okay, so they have, you have 30 days to await their decision?
Yes.
Or they have 30 days to come up with it?
Exactly.
Okay, and you plan on keeping open channels, is that it?
Yeah, we'll be contacting them by email and by telephone and maybe some meetings and maybe answer any questions they have, give them any more information that they might have.
Now, did they say that is the way the process goes, or is that something
Well,
you
we
prefer,
work with,
or
we belong
how's
to the
that?
California Charter School Association,
Okay.
and they're kind of our advisors, and the developer has told me that that's what we'll do over the next 3 to 4 weeks is meet with the board members individually and contact them individually and give them the information they need.
Okay, so I'm talking with Romona Longero, okay, and Ramona's the president of the Foothill Charter School. We're in News in Depth. We've gotten some background information, and I think we're going to be in the next segment talking about how maybe the classrooms work, a little bit more about the philosophy behind it, and how things will be going in there, okay?
Great, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So we'll be back with more right after this. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm with Romona Longero, and she's the president of Foothill Charter Schools. And Romona, when we left, I thought maybe we had all the nuts and bolts stuff behind it, but maybe we don't. Let's talk about, I think we talked about visual learners. Did we talk about visual learners much, what it means?
We talked a little bit about visual learners, but really what visual learners are is people that, I guess you can describe it by people that think in pictures. Now, I don't have little words running through my head that tell me, you know, show me what to do, or someone says, you need to go to a grocery outlet. Well, a picture pops up in my head, and that's because I'm a visual learner.
I think like we have like a GUI interface, you know, that's a graphic interface, that's a, you know, thing. And, you know, I think I'm probably following this visual learner stuff. Of course, a lot of people, you know, around my age, you start putting these special words up, and they look like excuses to a lot of the people when I grew up. You know, you have dyslexia, oh yeah, what's that? And if you have this, you know, all the things. Like, I didn't find out until I was going to college that I had dyslexia, and it's just something that happens. I was very glad that I found out, because when I do remember when I was then teaching my kids how to read, you know, I always made sure that I started up at the left and came down so that I was at least training them where to start and to finish, whereas I'm not sure if I just looked at a page and I just wander around it.
If you weren't trained, you wouldn't know where to start.
I guess. And anyway, so it's always good to find out what tendencies you have, because
Oh,
it
that's
helps.
why I had that problem, right.
Yeah.
It's
and
kind of like an
yeah,
aha
and then
thing.
and then you get to you know, live with it. Okay. Now maybe when one other thing. Now the story said that a lot of special needs parents came down and support. I'm not sure if a lot is the correct adjective there or whatever, but you have that. How would this program affect special needs, or how would special needs affect you?
Well, the charter school will have special needs, special education, just like the public schools do, or just like any other school does. And we have a special education director, and we likely will have aides to help these kids, and we'll have a resource room, and we'll have whatever they need. We're going to work with El Dorado County SELPA, and they're going to provide us with the resources and the funding through the state in place of Amador County. We would like to see Amador County SELPA get into a little bit of a better shape before we partner with them. So that's why we're going to go with El Dorado, because they have a really good history right now, especially with charter schools. Okay.
Now, since your school, if you are able to start a school, it would seem like you would be impacting the Amador County schools of how they're going, and this is probably a question for the board or something like that. But how would they take it in consideration? Would they be looking at this like, well, if we lose 2 kids here, we'd have to move our kids here and consolidate classes up here and move this? Do you think that is a part of it, or would they just probably from your side or whatever? Well, you can answer your own thing, you know. So I guess so, or you know, I'll get it. is this a good idea? So let's just say yes and let the chips fall where they may, and then we'll figure out where everything goes.
Well, I think first they need to consider what's best for the children, and do the children in this county need an alternative education? I think the answer to that is probably yes. It seems like there's a lot of people saying that we could use alternative education. I know that sounds like a bad thing. I don't know if people think of jailhouse kids or what they think of when they think of alternative education, but it's not a bad thing. I don't know why that's a bad word. But I think the district and the school board should look at it kind of from both perspectives. How will this hurt us and how will this help us? But the biggest picture, like I said, is how is this going to help the kids, because that's what it's really about. But I think we can alleviate, if we take a few kids from each class, we can alleviate some of that pressure with 32 kids in a class, and understaffing and small classrooms is really not enough. I mean, the classrooms are no bigger than this area here, and you're fitting, can you imagine 30 kids in this room? Not really. That's a tight spot.
Well, how would one of your classrooms look? Would they all, since I guess they're all at the same level, would they be different ages?
Well, because of leveling, so because we're going to level them, they'll probably free flow through the classrooms. So if say I had a child there, and he needed to go to second grade math, but so he went to second grade math at math time, because everybody has math at the same time. And then he would probably switch classrooms to the upper grade reading, because he reads higher. Most of the time they'd be in their set classroom, whatever their grade is. So if you're in third grade, most of the time you're in third grade. But if you're leveling, then you need to go out to reach out to those other teachers. And therefore, all the teachers will work as a team. It'll be very cohesive.
So there's kind of movement like a junior high, moving from class to class for the younger kids.
Yeah, very much like that.
Okay, but they have different teachers, and different teachers are kind of more specialized in what it is they're teaching?
Yeah, yes, I think, and I don't want people to think that they're going to skip anything. All the things that are required they will take care of. And that has nothing to do with leveling. So if there's a math test, an API, or whatever the test is they have to take, or whatever the thing is they have to study, then they will follow through with that. But when it comes to the main part of their studying, they'll learn what they need to learn. Okay.
Now, you have an interim principal.
Yes, Steve Rout.
And tell us about him.
He's retired, and he has lots of different projects going on. Very, very involved in the community. And he's been involved with us since we started the project. He's become a lot more vocal, a lot more kind of into what we're doing now, because it seems like we have a lot more momentum. He is big into alternative education, and even his thesis, everything he's done, his history that I've looked at, it's really good. It really leans towards our alternative education. So he's going to be with us until we find the right person to take over that role. And as soon as the charter application is approved, we're going to start, we'll put out applications and see if we can start that hiring process, and see if, not that we're looking to get rid of him,
no, okay.
but it is going to be a big job, and the principal of the school is going to be a teaching principal, so the principal will also be a teacher.
About how many teachers do you think you'll need to start out?
Let's see. We have 5 grades and kindergarten, and then special ed, so we will need probably 6 or 7 teachers.
Okay.
It depends on the teachers we get.
Okay. Now, you're the president, and usually one of the things to me is like, okay, the president's kind of like the idea of the person who has a vision and then kind of drives it there. What is your background in education? Do you have one?
I have been educated.
Okay, I get that side. Okay.
Well, let's see.
I don't think you need to have a background. I mean, in education per se with a degree.
I do not have a background in education, other than I did work at Cal State Channel Islands. I have worked at a couple of, mostly as an administrative assistant and executive assistant and project manager. So I have a lot of project management under my belt. And like I said, the only real school I worked for was Cal State Channel Islands, and I worked in the student admissions division. So, but a lot of project management.
What's the Channel Islands School? I'm just curious now. So I want to learn something. Was that for kids or whatever that were going to the Channel Islands?
Cal State Channel Islands is.
Or is that a school district?
Cal State Channel Islands is part of the California State University Schools. It's a college.
Okay.
So, and it was up by the ocean, so there was a lot of those kind of studies. There was a lot of science.
I come from Southern California, so we would go on field trips.
Camarillo, yeah.
We would go to field trips to the Channel Islands.
Yeah, they even have a, I don't know what to call it, but they have, the school actually has a dock, and the kids go out to these islands, and
that's where they really learn a lot.
Great hands-on stuff.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So hands-on learning. And it sounds to like maybe we can, now with that word terms hands-on and everything, get back once again to like the concept, I guess, one-on-one. But before we get there, why don't we talk a little bit of that, because I know when my kids went to alternative school, and when you raise it here, just the idea of the alternative high school up there, you know, that we have, sometimes people look at you like, I guess maybe if you went to school there, like maybe you have 3 heads or whatever, you know, but the reality is people learn different. Now, it doesn't, you know, later on in college, those people can be really sharp, and even then when I say that, I'm kind of, you know, pigeonholing them or whatever. But
not only sharp,
you know,
but I think more confident.
It's a way that some people are more comfortable with learning, and yet, since it's not the traditional, this is the way I did it or whatever, even though people that went to there said, yeah, it was kind of strange. We get into something and then we have to put our books down just when we're starting to learn something. And so in one way, it's not conducive to learning, you know, the concept that I would have, like, you know, when you're interested, go for it. And yet at the same time, it's starting to be seen more and more as a good way to learn. Well, let's talk about that. I talked long enough.
I don't really know why the word alternative is, it seems like a dirty word, and I don't know why.
Because it isn't this, it's that.
Because, yeah. I mean, why should we follow a straight line? Do we really want our kids all being the same? And I think of, I just think of them all kind of like dressed the same and like doing the same thing and uninspired and not confident. And I think get a lot more confidence, a lot more inquisitive children, a lot more just curiosity in life. I love to learn.
Okay, now anybody who knows me can hear, like, I'm not an ABCD person. You know, I'm not going down a straight line. So something reminds me of this, and I move on out. But generally, I'll get to where we want to go and get all the information in. It just might be a different route to get it.
And sometimes that's okay.
I kind of think it's more fun.
I think so too.
But, you know, at least I have fun, and I couldn't do it the other way. So
we wouldn't want you a
this
different way. We wouldn't want you a different way. So.
All right. Well, I wouldn't mind having some of the traits that organized people have, or linear thinkers. You need them. Trust me. Okay. All right. Now we just have 30 seconds left. You want to tell people when the next meeting will be and when maybe they should be down there?
I believe I believe the voting is going to take place August 22nd at the school board meeting on August 22nd. We may appear, and I don't have the date in front of me, the previous meeting before that, and make a statement. Okay.
Well, you can listen here and on TSPN, because we'll have those times and dates for you. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. And I'm Tom Slivick with News in Depth. Thanks for being with us. See you again next time right here on TSPN.